Howdy, partner. Reach for the sky. There's a snake on my boots. So here we are with... Hold on a second. What movie are we going to? Oh! Lightyear. I thought it was gonna be the Woody movie. Wrong movie. Wrong mood. Wrong costume. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's start over. I still have a little bit of that Toy Story vibe. Lightyear, the latest Pixar movie based on the Toy Story movie, which is gonna tell the story of where the Buzz Lightyear toy was inspired. So yeah, that's the movie that I was watching. Where do I start? Why do I start with this one? I already told you many times what is my stance on Pixar. I think there it was a moment they were kind of like the kings of actually American animated films, but little by little they began to degrade a little bit under quality. Some movies are great, some movies are good, some movies they're kind of reaching kind of like their peak, and now they come off like decent at best, I'll say. Or there's some. Personally, I think they kind of started doing that ever since they just get their contract that they're gonna have to produce 2 movies each year, and also I kind of think that the people on Pixar are really falling into this middle-age crisis on almost everyone on the staffing and the writers, because almost all of these movies is about growing up, growing pains, and all the things that it makes you feel kind of like depressing, because, well, obviously growing up is depressing sometimes. But they try to kind of lessen the blow to make us see that, well, there's a charm on growing up, and let new generation do all these things. But still, ever since Toy Story 4, that kind of is depressing in a way or another. And let's not forget that the last movie of Pixar that I saw, Turning Red, I'm exactly one of the few people in the world that I actually hated it. I hated Turning Red, mostly because it was so annoying. Although it's kind of funny something. Last week, I decided to binge watch the last season of Family Guy, since it's kind of like a guilty pleasure to me. And one of these episodes, there was kind of like a gag that kind of made me chuckle, in which it involved kind of like sentient sweaters, and then an announcer just say Pixar sweater, not all the time it guarantees a home run.
Well, at least bring this thick sweater. Canada's its only chance to get out.
Larry! See you on the other side, boys. And when I get there, I'll send you a cable.
This fall, Pixar presents Sweaters. Pixar, we're not a guaranteed home run anymore.
Which is... It was kind of funny because it kind of nails the quality of Pixar that now, because every single year when Pixar came, it's almost like every single year it was kind of like a great hit. It was almost like the people saying that, oh, Pixar is making the best movies in the world and all these things. I'm even exaggerating just in case, winning a lot of Oscars, but not anymore. Not anymore. I'll in all these things. And right now we got this Lightyear, in which I kind of found it kind of like an interesting concept and an interesting way to, keep a little bit their beloved franchise was Toy Story alive. This time with a spin-off, which involved, well, where the Buzz Lightyear toy came out, which no kidding, even in the movie says that is that what we are seeing is basically the movie that made Andy feel like, oh, I want the Buzz Lightyear toy and all these things. I got some things to say, but either way, let me also address a little bit the elephant on the room, which is that unfortunately the movie had a kind of a controversy, mostly because many people they don't feel like that Chris Evans, the guy who's gonna take over the role of Buzz Lightyear, is not exactly the guy perfect for this role. Many people think that he should have been, the original voice actor of Buzz Lightyear, which is none other than Tim Allen. I was not into this. I thought that this complaint was kind of petty. Mostly because when you voice act, you have to when you voice act, some people can kind of give out kind of like a mood, and I agree that Tim Allen put a mark on many people's head on how Buzz Lightyear should sound. And I can see it because Chris Evans, well, he's not exactly a voice actor, but more like just an actor. This is a problem that Disney has been facing a lot of times. But not exactly kind of like that it guarantees kind of that it's gonna suck and all these things. Some people actually kind of forget that there was the animated series of Buzz Lightyear, and that one doesn't have Tim Allen as Buzz. This one they got Patrick Warburton as Buzz. Funny enough that I'm talking about Patrick Warburton, and he's in Family Guy too. So honestly, I even though I wasn't 100% into the controversy, I can still understand people kind of their fear to this decision. And also, it doesn't help that Chris Evans also has some colorful political opinions, I'll say. And that, unfortunately, these are some problems that I'm not gonna get into it. I just went to see the movie with, technically ignoring all the controversy that it is, because I wanted to see the movie as it is and its own merits and all these things. Although there is one thing that Chris Evans said that kind of bother me, but it's not exactly how can I say something that affected the whole movie. It only affected my trust on Disney when they're trying to force out some scenes. I'll get to that when it is due. But either way, I was kind of anticipating this movie. I was anticipating at least to watch it because I was very curious to see, okay, where it goes. Is it gonna be great or greater than the animated series? In which the animated series, I do remember that I haven't watched a lot of it, but still it felt like a fun 90s cheesy fun series. Actually, it was pretty fun. I recently just gave a little bit of a sneak peek on the pilot movie, Buzz Lightyear in Star Command, and it looked like everything is a lot of fun. It's Patrick Warburton actually really nailed trying to imitate Tim Allen. Some of the characters are actually really charming and likable, and the world is great. It looks good. It looks good. But now let's got this one, and now that I finally see it, I am gonna say that this movie is kind of average. Yeah, kind of average. It's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. But for a movie that promotes itself by saying that this is the movie that inspired Andy to get the Buzz Lightyear toy, you'll get many questions. You'll think that is this? Really? Is this? This is the movie that inspired Andy to get the Buzz Lightyear toy. I doubt it. I would believe it more if Andy saw the animated pilot movie, because that one had a lot of fun stuff that that it could, let's say that it will charm children, especially a 90s kid. But this one, it felt like that will actually charm Andy if he was more of a Roland, or a Roland Emmerich, or a Christopher Nolan fan. Actually, more like a Christopher Nolan fan. If Andy was a Christopher Nolan fan, he will be liking that movie. But we know that Andy wasn't that kind of kid. And because many people, when they saw the trailer, they begin to compare it to Interstellar. And honestly, for me, that is a minus, because I hate Interstellar. I hated Interstellar. Interstellar was such a boring movie, and so confusing, and so pompous. I hated that girl, by the way. I hated the girl, and it had interesting concepts, but goddamn, Interstellar was so boring, and it still makes me question why people blindly like Christopher Nolan. Don't get me wrong, he's a very competent director, but my God, he's not the best. I mean, he hit lightning in the bottle with The Dark Knight, but then we got movies like Inception, which I hated. I hate Inception. It's so boring. Okay, I'm gonna stop before I drag this movie, because I'm supposed to be talking about Lightyear instead of my personal taste on Christopher Nolan. Oh, just one more. Dunkirk was cool. It was good. I like Dunkirk. All right. So the movie that it inspired Andy to buy the Buzz Lightyear toy. What is it about? Well, it's about, of course, our titular boy, Buzz Lightyear. He is kind of like a space ranger on a mission into transporting from what I can gather, it's transporting this pod with so many people in it. Kind of like, it kind of makes me think like one of those sci-fi movies in which, almost like, it reminded me of that movie that I haven't seen, but I know the concept. The movie I think it was called Passenger, in which it's kind of like people frozen cryogenetically to go into another planet so they can inhabit it or something like that. But anyway, we got Buzz and also his partner, who is this woman named Hawthorne, who practically, she's kind of like not only like a friend, but also kind of like the smart mentor that knows what Buzz do. And they land on this planet. They go check it out in the mission. But unfortunately, it has it has plant life that are trying to kill them. But while trying to get away, unfortunately, due to trying to rescue a cadet and all these things and other mishaps, they get stranded on this planet. Buzz feels responsible for it. And unfortunately, in order to, the giant ship, it cannot go back into space because they don't have the necessary resources. And the only way to make necessary resources is to kind of say have some crystallized fuel that in which they have to make kind of like an orbit in the sun. I'm not exactly a science expert, so try to deal me with this and all these things. So Buzz kind of say that I'm responsible for this, so I'm gonna take I'm gonna make this crystallized fuel, in which you have to, go to space for a couple of, how can I say, minutes, so I can orbit through the sun, because it needed some hyperspace in order to crystallize the material, but unfortunately, in the first attempt, it was technically a failure, but it also has a side effect, in which once Buzz goes into space, the time-space relativity theory takes place, in which basically when Buzz will feel that he's gonna travel 10 minutes, let's say, but when he goes back, 4 years has how can I say, happened in that planet, but of course Buzz feels so determined to save his people from being stranded into there, and other people, they just got adjusted. Even his partner, she gets married with another woman. I'll get to that, by the way. And he does it so many times that eventually his partner grow old and die, and eventually when she dies, the new leader of the whole thing, the one who takes her place, he decides to cancel the whole operation, and he decides to cancel the whole operation, and he decided that, we're gonna stay here. We're gonna build this giant force field in order to keep the dangerous bugs and plants to kill us, of course. But of course, Buzz doesn't want that, and until he finds out that they finally found a better chance to do it, and it is thanks to this mechanical cat that was given by his partner years ago. It's this robotic cat named Socks, who is played by Peter Song. He finds he finds a solution, and Buzz Lightyear takes to the sky one more time against the orders. And when he comes back, of course, now with the mission succeeded, let's say that when he comes back, now his people are being targeted by sentient robots, and then he has to rescue them. He has to rescue them, and he has to team up with this group of rookies. That one of them is of course the granddaughter of his best friend, and that's basically, I'm gonna stop right there or else I'm gonna spoil the movie. And yeah, what I said is pretty much a mouthful what the movie is about. But I'll give it this. I'll say the movie starts out with enough heart and charisma for at least a movie that it has something like that, because it does feel kind of like the stakes of Buzz, going into space. So that it feels like a short time, but when he goes back, he sees all of his friends and all the people that he met growing old really fast, and then eventually the one that he grew attached to, she then of course made her life worse. Until she dies, a fruitful life. They adjusted into this planet, but of course Buzz feels determined, to find a way to get them out of here. Here's the thing. Here, as you notice, here's also one of the biggest problems that the movie has, of course, in which, for a movie that is about Buzz Lightyear in Star Command, it was really expected that it's about going to space, seeing a lot of things, a lot of amazing stuff. I'll say, like aliens, planets that have some certain quirk out of it. It's something that animation could do. But unfortunately, they decided to go a little bit too realistic. They put, of course, all these relativity theories in order to, give Buzz Lightyear some, how can I say, some moral lesson about, not wasting your life and seeing, seeing people, making their life, fruitful, while he just got busy, going into space to find a solution and all these things. Which again, it kind of reflects the middle age syndrome that Pixar is trying to snuck up in these kind of movies, making us feeling that we're growing up as this movie go on, and now we're gonna show off that we're getting old, and now we're gonna have to put up with the new generation and all these things, which it can be. The morals can be charming, depending on how you put it like that. I mean, Up is still one of my favorite of the Pixar movies, but it doesn't feel like it's telling the world, oh, we're growing old and all these things. And as for the aliens, all of them are humans, except for, of course, Sox the robot. And this kind of is not what many people expect if we want to see, something that is a space opera, or that something feels like Star Wars or Mass Effect for what people kind of could compare to, because if you're reach kind of like an interspecies relationship between humanity and aliens, it makes the world even bigger and more imaginative. This one doesn't have that. I mean, credit to the cartoon. The cartoon actually shows us that different species or different aliens that can communicate with other humans. It comes off as a more appealing cast. But this one, no, it doesn't have that, and it makes it feel kind of boring. And again, makes you feel like this is something that the 10-year-old Andy wouldn't watch. Let's talk about some of the, how can I say, some of the cast, of course. Obviously, we got Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear, and he does a fine job. But there are times in which he does stick and tries to imitate Tim Allen, but he doesn't do as good as Patrick Warburton. But he tries. Although there are some moments in which his Captain America just escapes from his mouth. It's not exactly bad. He does a good job. But again, he's no voice actor. He's just an actor. I'll say. His friend Commander Hawthorne. She was good, I'll say, and she kind of giving it kind of like a attached reason to Buzz. Because another one of the themes that the movie had is that Buzz always started out, kind of like this arrogant guy who he just doesn't need a cadet, no need partners and all these things. He feels like a cadet technically wear him down or slow him down. Well, honestly, from the experience that you see, he's kind of right. He's kind of right that all the people that he gets involved, with the exception of the Hawthorne character, they technically slow him down or get things kind of worse. Although, for the credit of the movie, I think it's trying something that is a little bit of a real life problem in which sometimes the old generation doesn't want to train the new generation, and as a consequence, the new generation they become inexperienced or clumsy, or they don't even know what to do or something like that. At least I'll give some credit to that. But honestly, I think it could have worked better if you gave some competency on the people that he hangs around. I'll say. So you understand kind of like Buzz Lightyear's kind of like scene. Also, yeah, there are also some, how can I say, Easter eggs that to imitate, the Toy Story, saying that, hey, that's like what he did in Toy Story. These things. I wanted to talk to you also about Socks, the robot cat. Some people find it a little bit creepy and unnatural because it really looks like a robot cat that is kind of like the closest thing to a Furby. But ironically, I'll say that of all the disappointing things that this movie has, Socks was 100% the best part of the movie. Socks, it was not only cute, but also the most competent and the funniest of all of the characters. Socks kind of put himself into one of the most, most useful and the most reliable sidekicks you could ever have at least in a Disney movie. He can do a lot of things. He is very loyal. He's basically kind of like the kiddie version of R2-D2. And man, that every time Socks was there, he was a great highlight. Socks, he gained a lot of respect to me. And good job, Peter Son, to give it kind of like this voice that kind of made me remind me of Orbot from the Sonic games. All right. Okay. What else do we got? I already gave my compliment to Socks. Yeah, I think that's at this point many kids will want a Socks doll. I wouldn't, as long as it doesn't have the same technology as a Furby, then I'll be fine. But then we got, of course, the other cadets, the cadets that Buzz meets when they have to save the people from these robots, which apparently once they crystallize fuel and all these things. These cadets are a little bit the downhill of this movie once they appear. Not exactly because they're awful, but it's mostly because how mixed bag these guys are, and it's almost like they're not exactly, how can I say, like wow material. Let's start out with, of course, the granddaughter, Easy Hawthorne, he was called the character. She's played by Kiki Palmer, and how can I say about this character? They wanted to make her kind of like this character who wants to live up on the expectation from her grandmother that she admires. Good enough, but I've seen this type of character many times. But the problem with this character that I had is that her personality is a little bit bland, I'll say. She is very bland as a character. There was kind of like nothing special, much kind of like just a cookie cutter character in which, although granted they did wanted her to give her faults. Like, for example, she wants to be a space ranger, but unfortunately she got astrophobia. Which, of course, Buzz Lightyear says that, yeah, this is an automatic out for a space ranger, and you can't do it. But of course, she's kind of insistent, which kind of makes that a little bit annoying for some people, because, sorry about that. Because it makes her kind of like these eager cadets that they always want to rush things and all that. Even in the most dangerous situation, that you just want to go like, just listen. Luckily, it doesn't go that far, I'll say. The one that goes a little bit too far is this character, what was it called? The character was called Morrison, played by Taika Waititi, which is basically this guy who's kind of like very clumsy. He's very afraid. He's just this guy, let's say, who he just quit. He wanted to be a space ranger, but he's too much of a coward that he even quit, let's say. And boy, that this guy, they made him try really, really hard to become the comic relief, and it falls flat. A lot of the times that he goes is that he talks, and when they wanted to make him kind of like the comic relief, it falls really flat. So basically, none of a lot of things about him kind of works. And then, of course, we got kind of like the closest thing to be a cool character, which is none other than the character named Darby Steele, played by Dale Sules. I just watched it on IMDb because, again, I'm bad at names. This character is basically kind of like a granny who she's kind of like a fugitive because, well, she doesn't say exactly what she did, at least at the end, but I'm not going to tell you that. But she's kind of like the mercenary of the group, and she's kind of like the closest thing to be a cool character compared to these other two. But honestly, I think that the movie could have worked out better without these three. If the movie could have only concentrated between Buzz and Socks, that would have been kind of like a more charming and better movie about Buzz Lightyear. Because not that I'm against the other one, but they felt kind of like uninspired or just cookie cutter. Or maybe you could remove at least two of them. And if they wanted to keep out, the Easy Hawthorne character, it might have worked well if it was just her, maybe. But so they could give her a little bit more time to flesh out this character relationship with Buzz, I'll say. And only Buzz technically relates to her, mostly because, well, she's an eager cadet, and she is related to his best friend that he lost because of the time relative and all these things. And yeah, they wanted to make you saying that you shouldn't be ashamed of your mistakes and asking for help and all these things. But I'll give it this. This one does a little bit of a better job on maintaining this message than Meet the Robinsons. I am one of the few people who actually hate Meet the Robinsons. To make a long story short, I think Meet the Robinsons just escaped plagiarism because a lot of the things that I see from this character and all the elements is pretty reminiscent to Jimmy Neutron. We also have the villain, of course. If you remember the Buzz Lightyear franchise from the Toy Story movies, you know that Buzz Lightyear has a nemesis, which is this Darth Vader guy named Emperor Zurg. So, who is Emperor Zurg in this movie? Well, actually, there are many. The robots themselves are called Zurg because they say Zurg. Then what about the iconic one? It's a nameless Zurg. Of course, the appearance of the iconic one, and it's voiced by James Brolin. Oh my God, James Brolin. Oh. Okay, I don't know how to make the effect of the snap. Okay, but anyway, he does fine. Except that he's also responsible for one thing that I hated. And it's part of a twist, I'll say. That twist, I hated. I hate that twist. I'm not gonna say what it is at least yet, because this one deserves a section of its own. But I really, really despise that twist. God, I hate it. That ruined at least the movie for me, and actually ruined a lot of the expectations that I had about this movie. And again, I'll give you a clue: middle-age syndrome. Okay, I think I finally talked about some of the characters. Let's go with the animation, which I shouldn't be talking about it because obviously it's gonna look great. Yes, it is. But at least let me add this. It looks great. When their space when there's space, when he goes to space, when there are the effects of space, that it kind of looks like he's going through the kind of like the climax of the 2001 Space Odyssey. That was great. That's already great. But when he goes into the planet, this is where I'll say that, oh yeah, it looks great. It looks beautiful. It looks nice, but it's too grim, too realistic, too Good Dinosaur. Because it's not that I hate the Good Dinosaur, but one of the problems that I found with the Good Dinosaur is that the settings and everything, it looks so realistic that it kind of loses its charm. I don't know why they keep insisting to make animation look so realistically, because yeah, it's pretty ambitious to showcase that as an artist you can make things look so real. It's a very ambitious project, but unfortunately, sorry for the neighbors. But unfortunately, they kind of miss the point that when you do that, you kind of sacrifice style. You sacrifice, how can I say, flexibility on what cartoons do, because we are here to watch animation, not kind of like live action. Even when I got out of the movie theater, I would hear some people saying that, that felt more like live action than animation. And I want to ask, is that your goal for animation? Is that it? So, and when they go and when you're in this planet, the settings are so detailed, so great, kind of, I could say, dull color, that it looks great, but it makes the movie a little bit boring. Unfortunately, I have to say that it makes the whole experience kind of boring, and this is my criticism that I have with when you want to achieve too much perfection, because when you achieve perfection, there's nowhere to go. It's pointless to go there. So I got this mixed bag on what you're trying to do in this. So also make you ask yourself, is that the movie that Andy wanted to buy Toy Story? I mean, what Andy made him want to buy he got the gift. Actually, now that I remember, he didn't buy it. He just got it for his birthday. But that's what inspired him to want that Buzz Lightyear toy? No, that doesn't look like it. Oh my god. Okay, now that we are a little bit on the themes, there is the thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and that is partially about the biggest mistake that Chris Evans did. Is that I think it was during an interview in which people are technically complaining that because there's going to be a kiss, a gay kiss on screen. And honestly, I just gave up on that thing, by the way. I just gave up, especially on Disney, because because it's very tiring that Disney always keep promoting this. Hey, look at this! We got homosexual stuff in a movie that's a big deal. Don't tell, just show it. It's kind of like, it felt like just showing a homosexual relationship is their biggest achievement, instead of, hey, look at this, we just made an entertaining film, a great movie, and all these things. Or look how we meticulously create the Buzz Lightyear suit and all these things. Or the other themes are, for example, I think that the theme about Buzz Lightyear trying to rely on his cadet, as well as the time that he just kind of lost, although it is kind of debatable on this thing. But now they just have to go with the with the saying, "Hey, look, we got homosexual kiss and everything," and I was like, "Yeah, big deal. It's just for a couple of seconds." I'm like this shitty remake of Beauty and the Beast. They kind of promote, "Hey, we're gonna have a homosexual pairing." Oh, really? Oh, just a couple of seconds of two dudes dancing. And of course, Chris Evans comes and saying that, "Oh, people who didn't like that are just a bunch of idiots," and all these things. Dude, don't put more fuel into the fire. And besides, guess what? The scene that I was talking about in this movie is there. I think so, because I didn't notice. I personally didn't notice. I mean, the lesbian relationship is there, but the kiss, barely seen it. Although I am glad that according to that interview, they did say that they're not gonna cut it for international audiences, because you know that Disney is kind of like a sellout especially for a certain country, and I'm not gonna mention it right now. So at least you stick to the gun. So I'll give you credit for that. But still, it wasn't exactly the kind of like the center core of the movie. So you still have way ahead, way to do much when you want to do that. So, okay, movie, you want to play progressive? Then why don't you make a movie in which the gay romance is actually centerfold? The center of it has been done, even in your own thing. There's Amphibia. There is what was it? The Owl House. Two shows that I never seen, but I know that they have. I know that they have. Although most of them are purely lesbians instead of gay men. Either way it works. But but at least I heard that these things are kind of like centerfold instead of flashing it out for a couple of seconds or in the corner where you could cut it sometimes and all these things. It's a big can of worms, I'll say. But honestly, I just wanted to put out kind of like a little bit of this stance. It's a big conversation. Maybe it's going to be controversial, and I'm not going to talk, all the things that it is. And I kind of understand it, but at the same time, the thing that bothers me is that they keep promoting this kind of like the biggest thing in the world, and and they've done that so many times that it feels tiring, I'll say. It feels tiring and so pompous that it kind of lost its meaning. It kind of lost its meaning, and this shouldn't be technically the focus. The focus is not exactly, hey, look, we got gay kissing. The focus is about Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear in Star Command, in which again doesn't feel like a good sci-fi, because we're just stuck in one planet, when it could have been more than that. I mean, hence the Buzz Lightyear famous quotes, "To infinity and beyond," which Buzz doesn't say it. That he just say half of it. And one partner is the one that has to complete it in order to to make it kind of like a cutesy pinky swear and all these things. Okay. Although I am actually open-minded about the themes. About the scenes, of course, Buzz technically getting focused on going to space to save everyone. When he comes back, he finds out that his partner actually has a more fulfilling life and other things. Although they kind of blame him for that he kind of wastes his time and all these things. But when you think about it, that's actually not a fair comparison. That's actually not a fair comparison, because Buzz, he didn't grow old. I mean, it's not his fault that the relativity of time works differently when you travel at light speed and all these things. I mean, they might have kind of like their fulfilling moment, but still they're trapped on a planet that it has, animals trying to kill them. And now they got kind of stuck there in a society, making their own society, but doesn't feel like they just want to go out into the universe and explore more. This is something that is supposed to be about a space ranger, what you think about a space ranger. Or there's also the Buzz Lightyear trying to ask for help from inexperienced cadets. Although again, the problem is that the cadets are inexperienced, but also very bland, very clumsy, and they don't have kind of like special qualities except for the old lady. So like I said, the movie should happen about Socks and Buzz, nothing more. What other scene they just wanted to cram into our head about this one? Nothing much about to say, but actually, I think it is time for me to talk about the thing that I hated about this movie. But for this, I have to go with this Star Command spoilers. So get ready for this, because the whole thing is just, it has been done many times in other shows, but in this one, it ruins Zurg. Our expectation of Zurg. But it makes the whole thing even dumber and stupid. And it shows so much this whole middle-age syndrome thing. I'll give you a clue. I will give you a clue. And then I'll give you 10 seconds to try to guess the real villain of this movie. And it's not Emperor Zurg is half of it. But get ready for the clue. Here goes. The clue is the Lego Movie Part 2. Seconds. Do you guess it? Do you guess it? Here it goes. It is revealed that Emperor Zurg, the real identity, is an older Buzz Lightyear from an alternate universe in which, when he came back with the crystallized fuel, he returns to the planet, only to find out that now he's a wanted man, because of course the last time Buzz made his final mission, he just did it out of orders of the chief of command and all these things. So he became a fugitive and he decides to go back into space, and then he finds this big spaceship, and then he finds that it has kind of like the enough technology to time travel, and so he decides to experiment on it using the crystallized fuel that he had in order to go back kind of like 100 years into the future. And then he finds out, of course, that it worked, but now he's stuck there. Now he just finds out the alternative Buzz Lightyear, that's the one that we know. He wants his crystallized fuel so they can use the ship, so they can time travel to the past in order to prevent his mistake that made them strand on this planet long ago. That brings out so many questions. When it's about time traveling, can be very convoluted, but this came out a little bit out of nowhere because they didn't technically mention, that time there is actually kind of like a linear timeline. There was no mention that they can live in a timeline where it has kind of like multiple branches, let's say. Because when you write a story about time traveling, you either go for a linear timeline or a multiple branch timeline, I'll say. And the multiple timeline branch is when time can go to many possibilities, and there's one individual can exist at the same time in another one, but they're two different beings and all these things. But it's kind of like complicated, I'll say, and now I'm complicating myself into it, but it makes the whole thing kind of like more complicated. And I did mention because the whole thing is almost like the Lego Movie Part 2 when Chris Pratt was basically the villain himself. It's almost like you turn Emperor Zurg into Buzz Lightyear because you wanted to make the metaphor in which the biggest enemy, your biggest nemesis, is yourself. That is so pretentious, I'll say. Very pretentious. And it has been done some other times, but better. And this movie didn't deserve that. The movie didn't deserve that, especially because you wanted them to make it a little bit more grittier and moody on the movie, which this is something that honestly Andy wouldn't even like this. This is something that should kind of come out probably in the TV series probably, but not kind of like in the first movie that inspired Andy to want the Buzz Lightyear toy. Jesus, I can't say much about this because this whole thing is so kind of like dumb. And of course, at first Buzz is kind of onto it, but then he's like, no, I can't. I have kind of like my own. I kind of have kind of like my own family here, and you wanted to also play kind of like Interstellar again. That is just pure exposition of what is or something like that. Because of course, Buzz say that if he returns and undoes his mistake, then everything's gonna be undone. So technically, his partner is not gonna have his wife, her wife, her life, her granddaughter, and Buzz. The old Buzz is like, but they just have their. I mean, they live their life. But what about us? They just. We just waste our lives, doing the mission and all these things. It's not exactly fair when there's the time paradox of, how can I say that, the relativity of time there. I mean, it's not their fault that these guys are living kind of like years, but Buzz Lightyear is only like 10 minutes. It's not exactly a fair comparison. Okay, at least granted, and to be fair, it sucks that when he comes back, he kind of finds out that all his friends are kind of gone and all these things. Yeah, it sucks. So, okay, maybe I'll retract a little bit and say that, okay, this is probably kind of like the biggest consequences here and there, but still it's not exactly kind of like a big comparison. All right, you want to play time traveling things? Fine. Let's put in an assumption that, yeah, it is a very risky scene because changing the past can cause a time paradox that can annihilate other things. In Dragon Ball Super, they make this good the analogy that a small change on something in the past, it can create a butterfly effect that can even destroy a planet. So let's go with that. But still, I'm a little bit, how can I say, not so sure about having Buzz Lightyear being his own enemy, and they just use Emperor Zurg, kind of like just being a big robot armor of an older Buzz Lightyear or something like that. That was really, really lame. Okay, I think this is enough for that. Anyway. Okay, so what do I think? Do I recommend Lightyear? Well, it's not a bad movie. Trust me, it's not a bad movie. I like this movie better than Turning Red. If I have to go on the margin of the Pixar movies, I will go with. I will say that it's average. It's better than Incredibles. No, not Incredibles 2. Cars. I'll say that it's better than Cars. I might put it a little bit lower than A Good Dinosaur. I'll say, because at least A Good Dinosaur, as average as it was, at least the Good Dinosaur has stylized characters. This one, it was a little bit too Christopher Nolan to my taste. Granted, I commend the hard work that the animation guys did. I commend what they were trying to do with this one. I commend Socks. Socks was also great. But unfortunately, I don't. This movie didn't explore too much. It didn't expand it It didn't expand the universe epically enough to think about. Okay, if this is a movie that a 10-year-old child from the 90s will watch and feel inspired to get this toy, and it doesn't feel like that. I kind of forgot to mention that there's a kind of like a weird moment in which they eat kind of like a reverse sandwich. I'll say it's just a kind of like imagine kind of like a turkey sandwich, but the turkey you only put the bread between two slices of turkey. In this case, they use kind of like steak, but imagine that, and they were like, so before you only put two breads the meat is between two slices of bread. Weird. I mean, there's a reason why you don't use two steaks and the bread on the middle. It's because the meat is soggy and it feels awkward when you hold it. But anyway, I have recommended it. You don't want to watch it because of the controversy and all these things. I don't blame you. The only thing that really, unfortunately, I'll say this: this movie didn't went enough with its infinity and beyond. So it didn't went to its infinity, and it didn't go beyond that.
And what do you say we head home? And on the way, we can even watch that new Pixar movie, Sweaters.
Another home run?
You bet it might be.